It is 2023 and weirdly enough, finding a good value phone for less than 20,000 shillings has become increasingly challenging. This is because of two things: taxes in Kenya and the weakening shilling in terms of exchange rates. But TECNO has found a way in with the new Spark 10 series. The series has a couple of devices, which include the Spark 10C, which starts at 15,000 shillings with 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, the Spark 10 Pro and the Spark 10 with 5G, whose prices and availability will be announced later on, and then there is the Spark 10, which I've been using, which costs 19,300 shillings for 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. Of course, these are recommended retail prices and different vendors will list them differently. For my time with the Spark 10, there are three things that stood out: the design, the cameras, the RAM storage and performance. In this review, I'll focus on those three things. I will also within each of the topics cover stuff that I wish was done better. Every single time I've shown this phone to someone, the first reaction has been, "Why is the back like an iPhone?" I want to be clear that I don't see that look. Is it the arrangement of the cameras? Is it the size of the lenses? Or is it just an optical illusion where people think the cameras are raised on a bump? There are two cameras on this phone. Look closely. The third bump is the LED flashlight. Around the three bumps, TECNO have this shiny glowing sparkle that can give you the illusion that the whole of it is raised from the body. The rest of the back body has this matte texture finish that's really soft on the hand. It is hard to accept that the back is plastic. It feels very glassy and fragile to me, and that's the allure of its premiumness. I believe everyone getting a smartphone wants something premium. TECNO has gone for a clean finish almost around the device. At the back, there's only the cameras and the easy-to-miss TECNO Spark branding. The top is clean. One of the sides has the volume buttons and the power button, which is also the fingerprint scanner for unlocking. The other side has the SIM tray, which has 2 SIM slots and 1 microSD card slot. At the bottom, you get the headphone jack, a microphone hole, the USB Type-C port, and the single speaker on this phone. At the front, you get a 6.6-inch Full HD display that supports 90Hz refresh rates. It gets plenty bright and you'll have no issues with accuracy of color and watching of stuff. The things that I wish were done differently are the teardrop notch, which houses the 8-megapixel selfie camera. I wish it was a punch hole cutout. Also, the bottom bezel is quite thick. I wish it was a more even look with the rest of the phone's bezel. However, I do understand the decisions are being done as cost-cutting measures. The biggest selling point for the Spark 10 series is the cameras. With this phone, there is the 8-megapixel selfie camera and the 50-megapixel main camera. The selfie camera is decent. I've used it for a couple of videos and its biggest challenges are shifts in light and movement. So if you prop it up well, you'll get a decent output. TECNO is yet to fix HDR on their budget cameras, meaning highlights still end up blown up in certain scenarios. The 50-megapixel camera is quite good. Almost really good at this price point. From the photos taken using the device, the output is quite commendable given these are point-and-shoot photos. Similar to the selfie camera, the best way to get good videos from the main camera is to ensure you have good continuous lighting and that the phone is properly fixed on a stationary surface, for example a tripod. The back camera can record 720p footage at 30fps or 1080 footage at 30fps. There is no dedicated night mode, but in low light, the AI camera will switch to night view. TECNO is selling you 8 gigs of RAM, which they're marketing as 16 gigs of RAM thanks to RAM virtualization, and 128 gigs of storage at just shy of 20,000 shillings, and that's very commendable. The problem one will point out will be the Helio G37 processor, which is an entry-level gaming chipset. From my use, for usual tasks including photography, social media use, performance is very okay. However, when you have many apps open or when you're doing something that requires a little more processing, you need to exercise a little patience for tasks to complete. It would have been great to see a more powerful entry-level chipset, but that's the thing with budget devices. You win on certain numbers and on others you don't. Other stuff. Number 1, the battery is great. It also supports 18-watt fast charging, which is decent. Number 2, there's NFC support, which unfortunately hasn't taken off in Kenya. Number 3, you get Android 13 out of the box. Number 4, TECNO's iOS has inbuilt intelligence features which include Ella, which we've covered in a short video linked below. It is interesting to see TECNO's refresh of the Spark series with a worthwhile series of devices. Yes, there's competition, and yes, scouting around you may find better deals, but that doesn't take away from the fact that with the Spark 10, you're getting new software, really good design, plus a fairly good experience at a budget.